everybody. Welcome back to the Commute with So Is Your Podcast. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 3 hits Amazon Prime tomorrow, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm sure I've talked about the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on the So Is Your website before, never in video form, but I'm positive I did a write-up on it. The show is absolutely fantastic. If somehow you have not heard of it, and you're ignoring its 20-plus Emmy nominations and a ton of wins, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel follows a housewife, Midge Maisel, in the late 1950s, early 1960s, I forget the exact year, and her life kind of falls apart around her to no fault of her own. I mean, definitely no fault of her own. She's like the picturesque Americana 50s kind of housewife, which this series explores, is that really a good thing or not? But anyway, her life falls apart around her, and she stumbles into a comedy club and gets up on stage and kind of goes off on a half-drunken rant about her life and how everything fell apart, and she's absolutely hysterical. As she's trying to put her life back together, she's being hunted down by Alex Borstein's character, who Sally, I believe. I'm kind of blanking on the name. I'm sorry, it was a long day at work today. So she's kind of being hunted down and trying to be convinced that she is a comedian, and she doesn't see it. She was a housewife. She supported her husband and his comedic dreams, even though he's terrible and just ripped off acts and didn't really do anything good or creative, and was kind of an all-around piece of crap. So just given the premise of the show, you know how it turns out. You know she gets into stand-up comedy, and she really makes a go at it. But given the time frame, she's not really allowed to explore this option, and I don't mean someone stopping her. I mean, as a society, she's not really accepted a female stand-up comedian. She doesn't even tell her parents. She works a mundane clerk job in the glory days of the department store, and she takes care of her kid, kind of. I don't know, I think the show forgets about her kid a lot, but it's not important. She tries to fix her relationships. She tries new relationships. She runs into new friends in her new life that she has to keep separate from her old life, and it's this really awesome juggling act that the show just walks this razor wire of her living two lives so perfectly, and it's always fun and it's always manic, but it really has a lot to say about the time period and who this woman is and who she wants to be and what she could be if she was just allowed. Her husband never really leaves the show, and at first this really bothered me. This guy was a huge piece of crap. He cheated on her, and she's this absolutely charming, gorgeous, funny, great woman, so you're supposed to hate the guy, but credit to the writers, because he kind of claws his way back into being not a full-on sympathetic character, but you don't hate the guy at a point. You can hate the things he's done, but he sticks around, and it makes the show a lot more balanced and a lot more well-developed. I also have to mention Tony Shalhoub as her father is absolutely phenomenal. I'm pretty sure he's won an Emmy, but I know he's at least been nominated, and given his limited screen time, which is greatly increased in Season 2, he is fantastic in the show. Talked a lot about how the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel exists in this time period so well, and how they handle things so well, and the set dressings are perfect, and it's as seamless to stepping back in time as Mad Men was, and Mad Men was always praised for that. It's just a different part of the world with a much cheerier lens than the depressed and self-hating Don Draper. And one thing that's really cool is they take this totally fictitious character, this totally fictitious comedian who's shaking up the world right now, and inserts her into history where she has semi-regular run-ins with Lenny Bruce. And Lenny Bruce, if you don't know, is one of the stand-up comedians who shaped what stand-up comedy is and has become, and he is instrumental in why it is where it is and how it got to where it is, and he did a lot of jail time, well, relatively, for pushing the envelope so much. So you have these great changes going on in the country through the view of a fictitious person, but it's also totally real, and the changes in the history and in the country are just based on other people's actions. And it's this really great blend of stepping into history without altering history and creating a fake story without disrespecting the real stories. It's just, I don't have a negative thing to say about it. The only negative thing I can say about it is the seasons come out once a year and I'll blow through it in a day and then I have to wait another year for it. But that's the whole problem with our binging society. This is one show that I still rewatch every year before the new season comes out. It's just absolutely spectacular. If you have not gotten on it, the first 2 seasons are always available on Amazon Prime. I think they're even available in 4K now, which is pretty incredible. Get on it, watch the 3rd season. Well, thanks for taking this ride with me. Be sure to go to SoWizardPodcast.com for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, and more. Also, be sure to listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're working on new content all the time. We love hearing feedback, so leave us a note in the comments or drop us a line on social media. All the accounts can be found after the show. Thanks.